Joining me now for Locked On Gators is Jason Jordan. Jason Jordan is Sports Illustrated's director of basketball recruiting. I'm certainly going to screw that up between Jason and John with basketball, football, but just like football, I'd like to thank LinkedIn Jobs for being the official college basketball recruiting sponsor across the Locked On College Network. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the candidates that you want to talk to faster and post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. And Jason, Florida's in an interesting spot now. Mid-major Mike is gone. We're very happy about that one, and it's now the golden era. Todd Golden has come in from San Francisco, and it's an interesting period for Florida basketball right now because there's a lot of transition happening. But first up is I guess one of the headliners for this 2022 recruiting class, Denzel Aberdeen from Dr. Phillips. What is your evaluation of Denzel?
Well, I really like he actually ran with Southeast Elite in the Adidas 3SSB now, which used to be the Adidas Gauntlet. They changed names like y'all changed coaches. No, but I was always very impressed with him. He's a winner, won a state title, had one of his best games of the year in the state title game. But I think he's a 4-year guy, definitely like a capable on this roster will probably be a capable backup because you got a log jam of transfers, which I'm sure we'll talk about here in a minute. But a guy who will be able to develop, which is a good thing, whether these players know it or not. So I think he's a guy that he'll be there and he'll be steady and stable, athletic, high IQ guy, but a guy that Todd Golden will be lucky to have in the mid to latter part of his time there in Florida.
Yeah, you said high IQ guy, and I was like, oh, Todd Golden's gonna love that. He's a numbers
Yeah.
nerd. Now we've got our guy here, and then Denzel Aberdeen's teammate also is a Florida Gator commit in Riley Kugel. What's your evaluation and analysis of him?
So he's probably a little more ready now. Just built that way, 6'4", long and wiry. He was a little more productive during the summertime last year, which is where I tend to gauge, um, future projections because in the summer, you're playing against other savages. If you are a elite kid, you're probably playing against elite kids in Adidas, Under Armour, Nike, and Riley is one of the guys that really stood out. He's super athletic, knockdown shooter. So he's scoring on all three levels. And then he can play, he can guard interchangeably. And that's something clearly that Todd Golden is really wanting when you look at the makeup of this class with the transfers that he has. But a playmaker and a guy who can guard multiple positions and will stick his nose in there and rebound often and early, but just a guy who checks off a lot of boxes on and off the stat sheet. So, and those are the players that you win with in college basketball. If you look at the history for the last 5 to 7 years, it's interchangeable parts. So, yeah, I think Riley's more built to play early. I don't know if he will, but he's more built to. I think he'll get on the court a little more. I think he'll see a little more time.
Yeah, and then I mean that's it for high school for Florida.
Yeah.
That's all they did for the 2022 cycle, which leads us to talking about the transfer portal, which Mike White made use of as well, and Todd Golden is doing in his first year with the Florida Gators. I guess headliner for that, I'm going to start with Alex Fudge because he was the only player that I knew when Florida added him. He was the only one that I knew beforehand because of course he
Right.
played for LSU. But what is it like to add a player like Alex Fudge to this Florida Gators roster?
Well, to tell you, that's got to be pretty exciting for Todd. I think a lot of people, like me included, I was big on Alex. I broke his commitment last year. I think we all thought he would be a little more productive at LSU, but they had a few things going on over there. A few things going on in Baton Rouge. But I think of the group transfers in high school in this class, he has the highest ceiling, 6'8", long, wiry. I mean, he's guarding all 5 positions. And talk about a guy that checks off the boxes on and off the stat sheet. He's probably the best in show in this class for sure. So, but he's a guy you're going to be able to plug in a lot of different positions. You can run with a lot of different lineups. And, I think he's a star. I was very high on him in high school, and I think he's the best way to describe Alex is productive. And so that's what coaches flock to. That's what coaches love, and I think Alex will thrive in a system where there are a lot of playmakers and a lot of interchangeable parts. I think where there wasn't really that at LSU, there will be that this year at Florida, and I think you'll see the production go up as a result.
Yeah, I mean, he's someone that we're definitely excited for. And Florida right now, I don't know what it is, but with Billy Napier getting added for Florida football and Todd Golden for Florida basketball, it's just one of those times where I'm like, I could see that they've added coaches who are
Yeah,
making intentional moves, and they're just like, well, we're getting kids that fit what we want to do, and Alex Fudge is
yeah,
obviously one of those kids.
yeah,
What comes with adding players who fit your system is sometimes adding the smaller name players, the not big name players. And Florida kind of did that with Todd Golden by adding Kyle Lofton, who was a 4-star as a transfer, but coming out of high school, he
yeah.
is not very well known. But what is Kyle Lofton's game about?
Well, he's a ball dominant guard, right? But that's a great thing because he makes great decisions with the ball. I mean, averaging 14 and 5 at St. Bonaventure. Um, so he's been productive his whole time there, right? So what the great thing about the transfer portal and why it's so popular is because you're getting proven guys at the level, right? So where you were saying earlier, oh, we only got 2 high school guys. I had this conversation with a bunch of coaches at Peach Jam. They were like, you better tell those 2024 guys to go ahead and commit because ain't no more 4-man high school classes. If you want your spot, take your spot because we're gonna get them transfers, right? It's a new day. It's a completely new um, way that they're tackling it, and they're going after the Kyle Loftons, the proven guys who are putting up numbers. And I think with him um, as a playmaker in that system, you know, that's a great thing. I think he'll have the ball in his hands a lot, and that's a good thing for Florida because he makes great decisions with the ball. He's not a guy who's gonna take 100 shots, but he takes smart shots, makes smart plays. He's a smart player. All of these guys, Colin will mesh well with Colin and Kawasi, who I'm still high on. I know people thought there would be more in the freshman year, um, but all these guys are high IQ guys. But it's all about how they're going to gel, right? So that's the chance you take with transfers because all the transfers are like, all right, it's my second shot, and I'm gonna do it. So you worry that that's the thing, right? But you want them to kind of gel, and that's what your success is going to be based on. Will they gel? Will they buy into their roles and not look at it like, okay, finally I'm at the Power 5 level. All right, it's my time to shine. You don't want that. But you get that a lot too. So that's the roll of the dice. So but yeah, I like Kyle. I thought he was one of the best transfers in the portal. And when Florida got him, I was like, okay, yeah, they're gonna like him there.
As the sun is coming out and small businesses are back in business, LinkedIn Jobs makes it easier to grow your team. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the people you want to interview faster and for free. If you've never used LinkedIn Jobs, I can't recommend it enough. That's how I got hired for my last job before lockdown, and I loved that job, but I like this more. With simple tools like screening questions, it makes it easy to focus on candidates with just the right skills and experience so you can prioritize who you want to interview, who you want to hire, all that fun stuff. You should probably interview them before you hire them. But hey, it ain't my job, so I'm not going to say it at all. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the candidates that you want to talk to faster. And every week, 40 million job seekers visit LinkedIn. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockdowncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockdowncollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Because if you think the Florida Gators win 7 games this year like a smart person, like myself, bet the over. If you think Florida wins 6 games or less this year, like a big dumb dummy, then bet the under, and then or just send your money to me. I'll take it. If you're going to bet the under, I'll take your money. It's fine. Right now on BetOnline, the Gators win total for this season is set at 6.5. BetOnline.net is your number one source for all of your betting needs and sports information. I've said it a billion times now. I've been using BetOnline for like 5 or 6 years now. It's fantastic. I love it so much. It's a very fun thing to do, and it's a very fun thing to bet on. And like football season, just clean house. NBA and NFL season, clean house. Simple as that. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn all about the trends and action. Check out BetOnline. It's where the game starts. Yeah, I very much like the he's smart with the ball because
Yeah,
Florida, of course, last year was, and I know that a lot of fans will go, "Oh, Tyree Appleby was the guy that was just so volatile with the ball in his
right,
hands." But Florida had that really throughout the entire rotation last
right.
season of just so many people who wanted to be ball dominant and would just go ISO
Yeah,
ball. We saw it with Tyree Appleby, we saw it with Flen Fleming, and they're no longer with Florida, but
yeah.
that doesn't mean that you're just getting rid of that. So adding players who will make those good decisions, especially when
Mhm.
coming up from St. Bonaventure, which you don't know this. I'm in New York, so that's pretty close.
Right,
So adding someone from St. Bonaventure and stepping up from the Bonnies
right.
to Florida, while St. Bonaventure's been very successful, it's obviously a much different
Yeah,
level
yeah,
that you're playing at when you're playing with Florida. And then another guy who made a massive leap in terms of school size was Trey Bonham coming
yeah,
from VMI to Florida. And
yeah.
who is Trey Bonham as a player, and how does he kind of fit into this class?
Well, it's gonna sound like a motif here, but he's a smaller guy, 6 foot point guard. I think he averaged 14, 4 and 4. Check me on that. I'm pretty sure that's around about what he averaged last year at VMI. But a guy who gets to his spots well, makes great decisions with the ball. I think he had a 2-to-1 assist to turnover ratio, so Todd's gonna love that. Just a quarterback on the floor who can score, right? He can score in his own right. He can knock down the perimeter shot. And so, when you're swinging it like that with all those playmakers, you're gonna need to be able to knock down. It's almost like Duke's system in that, you get a piece of the paint and kick out. I think they're gonna do a lot of that in Florida, trying to get a piece of the paint and kick out. Obviously, they're gonna milk Colin. You got to feed the beast. But um, you know, with Trey at the controls, I think he's going to be the engine, right? And I think they're going to rely on him for that. But he's super capable. He's one of those guys one of those guards that you really, because he's smaller. I mean, he's 6 feet, but smaller. Relatively smaller. But he's one of those guys it's hard to keep in front. You can't really stay in front of him. And so he's adept at really getting a piece of the paint and kicking out, or getting a piece of the paint, and he delivers he delivers passes in places where I like to say where his teammates can be the most efficient, right? So I think with him at the controls, I think they should thrive. I'm curious to see how that's going to work with Kyle, because Kyle's kind of a ball dominant guard. But again, it's that thing with are we going to buy into our roles? And so that is a combination I'm going to be curious to see about Trey and Kyle. But I think it could work. I definitely think it could work.
Yeah, and that's something that is exciting, at least from me, because I was watching every Todd Golden
Right.
video online for a while, and he said, what we want to do are get the most efficient shots, and the most efficient shots are around the rim twos and catch and shoot threes. So if Trey Bottom's the kind of guy who can get into the paint and kick it out, and everybody that we're adding is like, oh, they can knock down open jump shots, then
Mhm.
it's fitting into this system well. And like you mentioned, it's just a matter of if they gel together, which we've seen Florida get by without that superstar player, and
Right.
just having a team that gels well. That was key for
Right.
Billy Donovan's era towards the end, which is not even
Right.
having stars. It's a bunch of guys who never really went to the NBA. Patrick Young had a quick trip in and out of there with the Pelicans, and then it was just they gelled well as a team, and we're kind
Yeah.
of looking forward to that, but with a star, Colin
Right.
Castleton here. And there was one more ad for Todd Golden in the
Yeah.
transfer portal, and that was Will. I'm gonna screw this up every single time. Will Richard or Will Richard,
Yeah.
just that last name.
Yeah.
And he's a new Florida Gator, and what does he bring to the table?
I actually watched the game in the NIT when he had 22 points against, I believe it was Vanderbilt. And so I remember coming away with that, very impressed with him. So when I saw that you guys picked him up, I was, I said, oh, there's going to be another score. And to your point, a guy, catch and shoot guy, he can knock it down at a high clip, but he can also get into the paint. He's a really good slasher and, great size, 6'5", guarding a lot of different positions. Once again, an interchangeable scorer, interchangeable production guy. And he sticks his nose in their rebounds too. I think he averaged 6 rebounds a game last year. So a guy again who can spread the floor, who's gonna knock down shots when Trey and Kyle kick it out, and a guy who's able to use his athleticism on both ends of the floor. So good piece, definitely a good piece.
And then now you mentioned earlier, you were like, hey, like there's no more of these 4-man high school
Yeah,
classes.
no.
And Florida, I mean, obviously 2 kids from high school, 2 kids from the same high school, and then four transfer portal kids. What is the importance for a new coach like Todd Golden to be able to find contributors from high school and the transfer portal and kind of find a happy medium there?
Well, it's so weird. I talked to a coach last night, and he was saying, oh, we're all figuring it out, man. This transfer portal is just we're all learning on the fly, and so um, it's one of those things where you open yourself up to criticism, right, from fans because it's like, well, you shouldn't have got those transfers. It didn't work out at the other school. It's not going to work out here. But if it works out, then you're a genius. You know what I'm saying? So it's really all about selling the roles that you want them to play and having them buy into those roles. And that is the thing. I think Todd's a really good salesman. I think he can do that. I mean, I tell you what, when I was at Peach Jam, I stay at my favorite hotel, shout out to the Sheridan there in Augusta, and Todd Golden picked the Sheridan. So he can really pick a good hotel. I'm sure he can pick really good, but no, that might not be the same thing. But yeah, no, I think in all seriousness, I think it is a little bit of a chance to take, but they're all taking chance. I mean, when Duke didn't take transfers in the K, I mean, I think K took 2, right? And I mean, the last 2 years, Duke's like, how many transfers can we get? Kentucky, how many transfers can we get? So it's a new day, and I think he's just falling in line with what it is in the sport right now. So, you're going to go get a guy who's been productive at this level. That's smart. Even the guys, and I've done stories this summer, multiple stories where high school guys even understand that. And so, where coaches were saying before, why don't you go ahead and, um, uh, what is it? When you reclassify up, you can come now. It's a come now. That's not happening as much anymore because we got the transfer portal. I don't need you to come now. I got a guy. I know some guys, and then guys. Don't get me started. Like they're at the mid-major level, there are actually coaches who sell, come here, produce, and portal. Like while they're recruiting the kid, like you could come here and help us win the league, average 18, and then you can leave. Like that's the sale. So again, we talk about a new day in the sport, So I think Todd's just doing what he has to do and what is there for him. And if it were me, I think we'd all pick from the pool of experience rather than the pool of youth. So I think that's what he's doing. I think it'll work out. He obviously wanted, like we said, playmakers who he can use as interchangeable parts and interchangeable lineups. So he's definitely got that in his class, and I'm looking forward to see what they can get it done with.
Yeah, I mean, I don't remember the last time I was this excited for Todd Golden because I was not a big fan of Mike White. So with Todd Golden here, I'm very excited for Florida Gators basketball. And thank you so much, Jason, and welcome to Locked On. Because Jason Jordan, find him on Twitter at Jason Jordan SI. He is Sports Illustrated's director of basketball recruiting and Locked On's basketball recruiting insider. And I mean, yeah, we'll have you back weekly at this
Absolutely.
point.
Looking forward to it, man. Thanks for having me.